It is axiomatic that the national, Colorado, and Park County Republican organizations no longer represent the party of Lincoln. Their essential foundation is now built upon Christian nationalism, authoritarianism, nativism, isolationism, a cult of personality, and the embracement of unproven conspiracies as irrefutable truth. In fact, their devotion to propagating Donald Trump's big lie is central to their form over substance agenda. An agenda that strives to return the nation, the state, and the county backward to a time and place where they feel more comfortable, where the fear of a multicultural society is erased by their intended implementation of America First, a political ideology first coined by nativists in the 1850s. They were the know-nothings who championed xenophobia, isolationism, and anti-Catholic sentiment. If you were not white, Anglo-Saxon, and Protestant, you weren't a real American. The term was resurrected by the Ku Klux Klan in the 1920s, took on a fascist and anti-Semitic tenor by a faction of the America First Committee in 1939, before we entered into World War II and became inextricably tied to Donald Trump when he first used the phrase in his 2016 presidential campaign. America First encapsulated the tenor of Trump's administration as president. Special slogans are one thing, but the meat and potatoes of the MAGA-inspired, continuing indoctrination of the gullible is the big lie. And it is the big lie that is at the forefront of the Park County Commissioners' majority, Amy Mitchell's and Dave Whistle's agenda. An agenda that mirrors the dismal regressive path taken by Donald Trump's acolytes. A road to where slogans abound, communists, baby killers, vermin, and politics and governing become performance art, an agenda of form over substance. During Dave Whistle's campaign for District 3 Commissioner, as memorialized on his website as a campaign promise, is his intent to give the taxpayers of Park County election integrity. He says he will work to implement voting measures that mirror the Improved Public Confidence Election Validity Measure, SB 21007. The bill was proposed by Senator Paul Lundeen in the Colorado Senate in 2021. It would have required all Colorado general elections to be conducted in person at designated polling places. Mail-in ballots would not be automatically provided to the electorate unless the elector affirmatively requested one. Voting was restricted to 7 days, and all votes had to be counted by the close of Election Day. The fiscal note on SB 21007 noted it would increase expenditures by the Secretary of State's office by over $1 million. The increased costs for small counties could reach $86,000. Even though Senator Lundeen's bill died in committee, Whistle adopted it as his template for what he envisions for Park County. In fact, he goes further than Lundeen. He wants hand counts done and will investigate the termination of Park County's contract with Dominion. He says this is necessary because there is enough evidence to justify people's concerns of election fraud and general lack of integrity. In consideration of Whistle's campaign promise, his disingenuousness when discussing the issue is notable. Here he is this past summer in a Board of County Commissioner work session meeting with Commission Chair Amy Mitchell sitting next to him. When he addresses Mel, he refers to Melena Mel Cassell, the county's clerk and recorder.
I just basically am listening and trying to understand the cacophony of both sides. We had a lot of people, or at least I had a lot of people come to me in events that we were out and about this summer and ask, what are you folks doing to ensure voter integrity? And my answer was, we're watching what's going on because we've got a brand new clerk and staff, and she got thrown into a very difficult situation, let's see, about 10 months ago. And so she had a front row seat, but she couldn't do anything much about it because she couldn't be involved in it because she was on the ballot. So we have a unique situation here. And I think all I'm trying to find is to ask Mel her input, because we haven't had the opportunity to have the input, and to let us know from what your experiences are, and as you're going forward in this calendar and you get to the 11th month and the 12th month and we learn more. So I'm glad that Mel and her staff came down to have the conversation with us, because, you know, if it turns out to be we're all wet, I can deal with that. Okay, I'm good with that. If we can find that there's no boogeyman and there's no bad things there, I'm good with that. The only the question that keeps being asked of me is, how do you know it works? And that's all we're trying to find out. If there is empirical evidence and there is bona fide evidence that things are good, I'm good with that. But I want to give Mel the opportunity to give her side of what you see.
A bogeyman is an imaginary evil presence with supernatural powers that carries off naughty children in the night. It is a bugbear invoked to frighten children, or in this case, the gullible who have bought hook, line, and sinker the fantasies and flaws of the likes of Mike, the My Pillow guy, Lindell, Douglas Frank, Tina Peters, Lauren Boebert, and others who have relinquished their integrity, their good sense, if they ever had any, and their consciences to the grand potentate of Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump. Mike Lindell offered $5 million to anyone who could prove his data was flawed. He claimed to have isolated packet captures that would confirm China hacked the 2020 election, stealing votes from Trump and giving them to Biden. One forensic cyber investigator was actually hired by Lindell to prove the hack. But the investigator concluded, Mike Lindell's packet captures are garbage data provided by a serial con man. Lindell offered $5 million to anyone who could prove his data was flawed. Robert Zeidman did prove Lindell's data was wrong, saying it did not contain packet data of any kind and did not contain any information related to the November 2020 election. A court awarded Zeidman the $5 million one day after Dominion won a defamation suit against Fox News and was awarded almost $800 million, shortly to be followed by Tucker Carlson's ouster from Fox. Dr. Douglas Frank, a peripatetic Mr. Rogers personae, travels the country with his slick slideshow of graphs, pie charts, floating axis points, and mathematical jargon galore, providing flawed data to the gullible with such aplomb even Tina Peters was impressed. His methodology has been repeatedly proven to be faulty and unreliable, and it is another notch in the continuing con to fool some people all the time. Hand counts throughout the country have proven the accuracy of the Dominion machines, the most notable being Maricopa County in Arizona. Over 2 million votes were recounted, and the results between the Dominion totals and the hand recount differed slightly, actually adding votes to Biden and subtracting from Trump. If Whistle believes there is a bogeyman specific to Park County's Dominion machines, even though one that hasn't shown up across the entire country, particularly in Maricopa County, Arizona, is he questioning the integrity of the clerk and recorder rather than the machines? Does he believe there is more of an opportunity to manipulate Park County's 14,000 or so potential ballots than Maricopa County's 2 million? Does he believe Park County is more susceptible to those 2,000 mules than any other place in the country?
The people who have come to us, they just want the truth. You know, they're not trying to find fault. They just want to know. And they want to know that their taxpayer dollars are being used wisely. And so that's the whole reason why I brought this up. And so
I'd like to make a comment to that. There's a line out of a movie that I think you need to think about is you can't handle the truth. And that's where I think those people are. No matter how much evidence you give them, they can't handle the truth because it does not support their idea that the election was stolen, which it wasn't.
Well, and we are all deserve an opinion.
Commissioner Dick Elsner hit the nail on its indisputable head. When Board of County Commissioner town halls were held this past summer in several locations in Park County, citizen concerns were not related to election integrity, something Whistle claims is tantamount in folks' minds. In the most populous area of the county, where 60% of Park County taxpayers live, not a single question was raised concerning election integrity or Dominion machines. The dismal fantasy that this topic is on everyone's mind is more accurately stated this way. The extreme far-right contingent of Whistle's and Amy Mitchell's supporters, the South Park Outsiders, for example, who have bought the big lie, consuming it with gusto, are who Whistle and Mitchell are catering to. They depend upon this bloc of so-called constitutional conservatives for their votes. Indeed, Amy Mitchell, chair of the Park County Board of Commissioners and also chair of the reconstituted far-right big lie-believing Christian nationalist Park County Republican Party, is facing a re-election in 2024 to keep her seat on the commission. Is it any wonder she is championing the big lie? Is it any wonder that despite the mountain of empirical evidence that there are no bogeymen in the Dominion system or 2,000 mules romping around Park County on election night, Whistle is still asking for, yes, empirical evidence and, quote, bona fides to once again affirm the Dominion system is not infested with imps, gremlins, communists, baby killers, and vermin intent on stealing an election. The question must be asked, who do Whistle and Mitchell serve? Is it all the county's citizens, most of whom have already moved on from the irrefutably nonsensical big lie nonsense? Or are they more attuned to and more comfortable with the gullible, the fearful, the louder, and more ideologically regressive minority, the ones who see bugbears in the night, imaginary presences whom Donald Trump has done such a remarkable job convincing them they are there and they are real? There is more, a great deal more to be said. Stay tuned.